get up from the couch, footsteps follow. You walk to the kitchen, they follow. You slip into the bathroom and close the door, and on the other side, there is a quiet wait, a small, warm presence, waiting. You open the door, and there they are, looking up at you with an expression that is hard to name. Not demanding, not frantic, just there. Most of us have smiled at this and thought they want food, or maybe they're bored, or perhaps just curious about whatever you might be doing. It's easy to explain it away as habit, or the simple psychology of a creature that has learned to associate you with good things, treats, walks, a scratch behind the ears. That explanation is comfortable. It keeps the relationship understandable, manageable, even a little flattering, without asking too much of us emotionally. But behavioral science has been quietly building a different picture, and once you understand what researchers have found about the way dogs form bonds, about what happens inside their nervous systems when they're near you, about the ancient evolutionary machinery that shaped them to do exactly what your dog is doing right now, you may never look at that small, following shadow the same way again. In the 1960s, a developmental psychologist named John Bowlby proposed something radical. He argued that the bond between a child and a caregiver was not simply about comfort or reward. It was a biological system, something that evolved because staying close to a protective figure was, in the most literal sense, a matter of survival. He called it attachment, and he described two specific behaviors at its core: using a caregiver as a secure base from which to explore the world, and retreating to them as a safe haven when something felt threatening or uncertain. For decades, this framework was applied almost exclusively to human relationships. Then researchers began studying dogs. What they found was striking. When dogs are placed in mildly stressful situations, they consistently orient toward their owner. They return to them. They seek physical proximity. When the owner is present, dogs explore more freely. When the owner leaves, many dogs show measurable distress. When the owner returns, there is a reunion response, a visible physiological shift. This is not simply a conditioned behavior. This is the attachment system. Functioning in a species other than our own, the dog following you from room to room is not just looking for a snack. In the language of attachment psychology, they are engaging in proximity, seeking behavior, the behavioral expression of a bond that, to their nervous system, is as real and as important as any bond they have ever formed. There is a hormone called oxytocin. You may have heard it called the bonding hormone or the love hormone, though those names flatten something that is genuinely complex. Oxytocin is released during physical closeness, during eye contact, during moments of mutual attunement between individuals who trust each other. It deepens feelings of connection. It reduces fear. It encourages the kind of relaxed presence that makes genuine intimacy possible. What is remarkable, and this has been confirmed in peer-reviewed research, is that when a dog and their owner make eye contact, both of them experience a rise in oxytocin, not just the human, the dog. The same neurochemical loop that binds a parent to a child, that deepens the attachment between close friends, activates between a person and their dog during a moment of simple, quiet, mutual gaze. Think about what that means. Your dog is not just responding to you as a source of food or safety in a transactional sense. They are experiencing something chemically similar to what you feel when you look at someone you love. The bond is not an illusion you have projected onto them. It is happening in both directions at the level of biology. This is also why the following behavior has such a particular quality to it. It is rarely frantic. It is rarely demanding. Often, it is simply quiet accompaniment. A dog who follows their person is, in many cases, maintaining the proximity that keeps their attachment system calm and keeping you in sight so that the oxytocin can flow, so that the bond can continue to feel real and present and secure. To understand why dogs are capable of this kind of relationship with us at all, you have to go back a very long time. Somewhere between 15,000 and 40,000 years ago, the estimates vary. The ancestors of the domestic dog began a process of self-selection toward human company. The wolves who could tolerate human proximity, who could read human facial expressions, who could follow a pointing finger with their gaze, these animals thrived. They had access to warmth, to food, to shelter, and over thousands of generations, this produced something extraordinary. Dogs are the only non-human species that consistently follows the direction of a human point. They look where we look. They respond to our emotional expressions with something that functions very much like empathy. When their owner is sad, many dogs will orient toward them, move closer, attempt contact. They are not performing. They are responding to a signal in their environment, your distress, in a way their nervous system is quite literally designed to register and respond to. Domestication did not just make dogs tolerant of humans, it made them acutely sensitive to us. The following behavior is, in part, an expression of that sensitivity. Your dog follows you because you are the most emotionally salient thing in their world. You are the creature they have been shaped by tens of thousands of years of evolution to pay attention to. There is also something happening between your nervous systems that is difficult to articulate, but increasingly supported by science. It is called co-regulation, and it refers to the way that two nervous systems can influence each other through proximity, touch, and calm interaction. When you sit quietly with your dog, when your breathing slows and your body softens, their physiology often mirrors yours. Heart rate, cortisol levels, the subtle shifts in tension that move through a body in a state of rest. This is not metaphor, this has been measured. And it works in reverse, too. A calm dog resting against a stressed person can pull that person's nervous system toward a more settled state. The dog who follows you and then lies down near your feet while you work is not just looking for warmth. They are doing something that, in relational psychology, we would recognize as co-presence, the act of being near another being in a way that regulates both of you. The relationship is not one-sided. You are both, in very real ways, holding each other, and yet it would be incomplete, and perhaps a little unfair to the dogs who experience it, to suggest that following behavior is always a sign of a healthy, secure bond. Sometimes it is, but sometimes the picture is more complicated, and understanding the difference matters. There is a concept in attachment research called anxious attachment. It describes a bond that is formed not from a sense of security and ease, but from fear of separation, fear of loss, fear that the attachment figure might disappear. In humans, it produces clinginess, hypervigilance, difficulty being alone. In dogs, it can produce exactly the same thing. A dog who follows you because they feel safe with you moves differently than a dog who follows because they are afraid to be without you. The secure dog follows with a kind of relaxed attentiveness. They may pause, explore, lie down. Their following has space in it. The anxious dog follows with tension. They become distressed when you leave a room. They cannot settle. Their proximity seeking is driven not by the warmth of connection, but by the discomfort of separation. If your dog follows you everywhere and also panics when you leave, struggles to relax when you're home, or seems unable to find comfort independently, what you may be seeing is less a portrait of love and more a portrait of a nervous system that has not yet found its ground. This is not a flaw in your dog. It is often a reflection of their history, their temperament, or the ways their attachment needs were or were not met early in life. Understanding this distinction is an act of real care, because the response to secure following and anxious following, if you want to support your dog's well-being, is quite different. One needs presence, the other needs, gradually, the gift of learning that absence is also safe. There is a quality of relationship that develops between some dogs and their people that does not have a precise scientific name, but that anyone who has experienced it will recognize. It is not the relationship of an owner and a pet. It is something more mutual than that. It is the relationship of two creatures who have spent so much time near each other, who have regulated each other's nervous systems so many times, who have looked into each other's eyes and felt oxytocin rise and fall so many thousands of times, that they have become genuinely important to each other in the deepest biological sense of the word. When your dog follows you, they are not performing loyalty. They are expressing something that their body and their history and the ancient shape of their species has prepared them to express. A preference, a pull, a kind of gravity toward the being they are most attached to. It is not the shallow mimicry of emotion. It is emotion, moving through a different kind of mind than yours, shaped by a different kind of history, expressed in the only language available to them: proximity, orientation, presence. The next time your dog gets up when you get up, trails behind you down the hallway, settles near you when you sit back down, notice it. Not with the reflexive warmth of something you've stopped seeing because it's always there, but with a kind of quiet attention. Notice the quality of their movement. Notice whether they seem at ease or on edge. Notice whether their following has space in it, or whether it has the tight, watchful character of something driven by fear. And in that noticing, you may find something worth sitting with, that the creature living in your home has a psychology, real, layered, evolved over millennia, that has been quietly oriented toward you in ways that are genuinely profound. That the bond between a dog and the person they love is not a lesser version of connection. It is connection, expressed in full, by a being who has no other way to say what they feel except to simply stay close. If this gave you a new lens for understanding your dog, consider sharing it with someone who loves theirs. And if there's a question about dog psychology you've always wondered about, leave it below. The answers are often stranger and more beautiful than we expect.